I'll get this started. Good morning or good afternoon, depending on what part of the country you're at. My name is Delfino Aguilar. I'm the SVP of production here at Kind TPO. I am really excited to have all of you on the call with us today. One of our very special marketing guru, my friend here, Mr. Krish Dhokia, who's an SVP of marketing here at Kind Lending, is going over some items we spoke to at the Vibe event. I know that we shared some marketing ideas and what we're going to offer to our customers. Brokers market better, obviously, is a topic for today. And Chris is going to go over some exciting information to help you grow your business. So without further ado, Chris, I'll hand it over to you.
Well, thank you, Del, and thank you all of our broker partners for joining this call today. And if anyone in your team or your group didn't have an opportunity to join today, after the call, we will be sending out a recap email along with a number of links and this presentation as well. So again, my name is Krish Dhokia, SVP of Marketing here at Kind Lending. I have the fortunate opportunity to work with Del and all these amazing account executives here at Kind. And one thing we realize is, you know what, we don't talk enough about marketing. We market at you, but we don't tell you how to do it. And so, you know, if you were at the Vibe 2023 event, and if you haven't had a chance to view any of the sessions from the Vibe 2023, it is up on our YouTube today. One thing I talked about, or a couple of things I talked about, was personal branding, and the other one was marketing plan, right? So we are steadfast approaching 2024. It is literally knocking on our doors. And, you know, a lot of folks in the marketing space, and even myself throughout my career, have always kind of touted marketing plans, strategies, goals, and tactics, but never really had to utilize the quote unquote flexible marketing plans. And you're probably wondering, like, why did you add the word flexible in there? Well, we have not, you know, while we are in the very cyclical business nature, we've never truly experienced the fast hits and changes in this industry as much as we have since 2020. This year has been a very unique and interesting because, you know, of all the factors from inventory to rates to, you know, all of those fun things that we've been you know, struggling or maybe working through. But the marketing plans, and I've got just a few slides, nothing too crazy, maybe copy heavy, but we're going to talk about a couple of things. And so really breaking down as you build your marketing plans. Now, if you don't have the flexible marketing plan template, we will be including it in the recap email after this call. So you can download it and make it yours. But these 5 topics we're going to kind of discuss through this call today. And for those of you that are still joining, thank you for joining. You will have this recording after this call as well as the links to the marketing plan. So the 5 things that we're really going to talk about today is, as you're building your flexible marketing plan, is get accustomed to pivoting a lot, right? We've seen that in 2023, that there was a need for that. Understand how you add value. Stay on top of emerging trends, no matter how fast they change. Make decisions quickly, and planning for the unknown. And I hate that word unknown, but truly mortgage is unknown, right? Like, we just don't know. There's no true crystal ball to let us know what's going to happen tomorrow or next month, and vice, you know, so forth. So we're going to cover those 5 topics as you decide to, well, as you begin building your marketing plan. Hopefully, many of you have already built a marketing plan, but it's not too late to add the flexibility components of your plan. And before we get into it, you know, just basic marketing plan, you got your goals. Hopefully they're smart goals, but your goals, your strategies, and then the tactics to drive those, right? Drive those goals. And in, you know, in the 22 years that I've done this, it was pretty easy, right? It's like, map it out. Okay, first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, whatever. And here are the people that, you know, going to help us deliver it. Here are the tactics that are going to help us deliver it. Here are the dates, and here's how we're going to measure it. All of those fun things. But what we noticed in early, you know, by second quarter of 2020, was man, all of those things that we thought we were going to do, we can't do, right? Maybe you had a bunch of marketing initiatives that were in person. And well, guess what, right? Like the world went non in person, right? And so those goals just went to the wayside and didn't get delivered. And so meanwhile, your teams, your executive teams, or even yourselves as mortgage brokers leading the charge and leading carrying that torch are like, well, nothing's happening. Mind you, in 2020 and 21, everyone's pipelines are pretty full. I've talked to brokers at the Vibe 2023 event. It was like, man, it was awesome because we had all this business. And then we kind of took our eye off the prize of building that purchase business. And then, where do we go from here, right? Is it lead gen? Is it, all of these things? So let's talk about getting accustomed to pivoting a lot. Now, in other industries, and let's be honest, right? They don't know that, right? They don't know truly how to pivot, in the retail world as far as like Target or, I don't know, DSW shoes. I'm just throwing out some brands there. Their pivoting is a lot different from ours. Ours is truly, we're at the mercy of a lot of other components, right? Inflation, real estate, builder, starch, all of those things. But based on where the energy is, we have to be able to pivot. So that doesn't mean you write a goal just for the sake of writing a goal, right? You don't write your marketing plan just for the sake of making a marketing plan. You have to have those marketing plans to say, okay, well, if I can't deliver this goal using this specific tactic, then what is my plan B, right? Remember plan A, plan B. We've all said it throughout our careers. There's always going to be a backup. What is your backup plan? How else can you deliver it? And a great example would be, hey, I'm going to get, let's talk about leads, right? Because we all love leads. I'm going to deliver leads through doing ads on Facebook. What if Facebook went down tomorrow, right? We're not in control of the longevity of Facebook. What's your plan B? Is it Instagram? Well, what if all of Meta goes down? Is it plan C going to, hey, you know what? I'm going to check out Pinterest or whatever. So really knowing that, okay, you know what? It's not just that one tactic is going to deliver it that goal. You can equivalent that to building new realtor business. Hey, my number one tactic goal this year is to build realtor business, or goal is to build realtor business, and my tactic is going to be, hey, I'm going to stop by every office. What if everyone went virtual again? How else are you going to deliver that business? So you didn't put all your eggs in one basket is truly what this is talking about. But question to you is, what do you do when your pipeline is affected by fluctuations of the mortgage industry? Feel free to comment in the chat. And Mackenzie Higgins, our amazing TPO marketing manager, is behind the scenes today, and she will respond. And if not, we'll respond in our Facebook group, which I'll talk about later. Since 2020, mortgage professionals have had to grapple with the situations out of their control, right? Like I said, often forcing the most robust marketing plans to collapse, because typically our marketing plans have 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 tactics, and all of them were, not, they were maybe dependent on each other, right? If I do a Facebook ad, then, boost a post or like whatever. It was all just all one basket with all the eggs in that basket. So as you build this marketing plan for 2024, please think about other ways that you can drive that original goal, right? So again, if it's to build realtor business, you have to come up with a couple of more different ways to do it. And you can prioritize those, that's completely fine. But with the understanding that, what happens in the real estate business isn't truly in your control, okay? And that's what we have to realize, because we are an industry that is dependent on a number of different factors. Okay, understand how you add value. And this goes on the heels of that. Hey, I was talking about personal branding. I was talking about local marketing. I've done a number of podcasts here in recent months where I've talked about local branding. And while, many of you of the companies that you might work for or manage are, have a national footprint, the local piece is uber valuable. right? So understanding how you add value, one of them could be, well, let's talk about this real quick. More than ever, customers want brands to stand up for something bigger, right? They want authenticity. It's something I did talk about the other at the Vibe 2023 event. But 65% of consumers in 2023, and this is not specific to mortgage, plan to shop local when it comes to goods and services. 65%. And this was a study done earlier this year by Nielsen, I believe. So it was, but look at the year itself, right? People have gone local. Small business Saturday could pretty much be big business Saturday because they're doing a big chunk of the business today. It lends itself to, these questions actually. So are you providing helpful resources that can help educate themselves, right? So for your home buyers, even for your realtor partners, financial advisors, whoever, is your content, social media, your email, digital marketing content, your web content, the conversations that you're having, are they driving to help educate them, right? We all know that our number one as marketing to consumers, right, B2B or B2C, the number one, I guess, obstacle that we are facing today is having to re-educate our consumers, our audience, because they've also filtered in all of this media, right, and all of these other places that's trickling down. Maybe it's their neighbor. Maybe they had a cruddy experience and they told them about it. The parents are telling them, no, you need to use my lender. Or, hey, it's not a good time to buy it. There's all this negative sentiment that's coming from media. You have to then re-educate your consumers. So are you the provider of that? Are you contributing to the communities you operate in? We like to take, but do we give back, right? And it doesn't mean a monetary give back. It doesn't mean that you have to host the biggest party in the city to give back. But there's some really simple ways to give back in your communities. And again, the Facebook group that's attached to this training series, we will be adding different types of goals. We'll be adding lists of different types of tactics that you could be doing in your communities as well. Even if you're a national footprint, there's a lot of press, there's a lot of great marketing that comes from you doing things in your community. And it's not just sponsoring the golf tournament that your realtor's having, right? Super cool. But is it, going to the Chamber of Commerce and hanging out with them, connecting with those folks? Is it serving on your local school board, right? Is it, just having a cleanup day in your community? There's so many cool things that aren't really cost prohibitive to do. And then lastly, how are you marketing to build trust with your customers? Now, there's a lot of platforms out there like experience.com and Google reviews and Facebook reviews and all of those things. Those are great, right? Those are very powerful and reputable sources to have your clients, past clients, and so forth leave reviews. But that's not all, right? Building trust is going out there, and again, it's attached to the community feel, but being that neighbor, when you get reviews unwarranted, unasked for, not shopped or past clients, that's even more valuable, even though they might not become like a verified review. But when your neighbor says, man, when you hear, I haven't done a loan with you, but I want to, my next loan, that's powerful. So having those conversations and those opportunities to leave reviews there as well is great. But yeah, we'll have more tactics of each of these. These become strategies and goals that we will leave in our Facebook group as well for all of you to pick up and have conversations around as well. All right. Stay on top of emerging trends, no matter how fast they change. This doesn't mean, at the Vibe 2023, actually, I was watching, pretty vain, but I was watching myself the other day, and I was like, I came out and said, hey, my name's Krish Dhokia, AI, goodbye. And I didn't talk about anything about the word AI. It's the biggest buzzword of the century. Not to say that, AI has not been around, but it has for like 10 years. But now it's more accessible, right? That's not the trend I'm talking about. The trends in mortgage specifically and how you market yourself, those trends are it's a culmination of what's trending as far as what's viral, right? But it's also what is the right. So let's break it down a little bit. Compliance, right? Do you know what the trends in compliance on marketing are? Do you know what is viral? Whether it's, if you're taking the plunge on TikTok videos or Instagram reels, do you know what the songs are? What's viral? What do people want to talk about? Um, at the same time, you have to be able to pivot quickly, right? So if you were marketing pretty heavily on X, the formerly known as Twitter, and you had a massive following, well, you've been affected. You may have been affected with the launch of Threads. And as much as you might not want to now add another platform to your arsenal, it's almost you kind of have to, right? Because you have now a split audience. You have to stay on top of it, and you have to decide. We'll get into the next one, but decide pretty quickly on if you want to make that move and what's the benefit there. Other ideas would be, staying on top of emerging trends, right? So, what's a good one? Loan limits. Loan limits. Everyone's doing it, right? It's not even a trend, it's a fad, right? Or it's not even a fad, it's like a must. You have to go out there and you have to talk about loan limits, which Kind has recently increased loan limits in advance of 2024. And a lot of lenders do that. But, um, you know, you might have just found out that it went up to 776 or whatever conforming. You have to post that ASAP, right? It's a fast change, but you also knew it was coming, so it's not a good, like a perfect example. But other things, like I said, platform changes. Today TikTok is hot. Tomorrow, I don't know, Snapchat might be hot. I don't know. Uh, but you don't know either, so you have to stay on top of it. I would definitely, if marketing is your gig, and you might know more than me, which is pretty common, right? A lot of folks, you guys are out there in the trenches, boots on the ground, and marketing, uh, and you think you know it, and then it changes. Uh, you have to make that quick pivot, and that's what this whole conversation today is about. So, data. The biggest trend today is not AI; it's data, right? In fact, I just got off a call. We were talking about Snowflake. If you haven't read the book, The Rise of the Data Cloud by Frank, I can't remember his last name, but he is the CEO of Snowflake. Uh, Read it. It's really powerful in the sense that, the things that people are searching for online can offer clues as to what to expect next, right? We're always trying to do some predictive analytics to figure out what's next. So whether it's a type of product or program that you can clue in from that data. So I don't know, people are now all of a sudden, you've gotten a lot of people coming to your website, your social media, whatever, that are self-employed. Then you could kind of navigate to, hey, you know what, I need to really brush up on my opportunities for non-QM, right? Or whatever type of product or program it is. Data can tell you that. The problem is that we get Excel spreadsheets and just lists and numbers, and it's messy. It's really mind-numbing. But in 2024, I implore all of you to at least include one goal for 2024 that revolves somewhere around data, right? Sifting through the data, you could go to a freelancer to have them organize your data. You could have them build you a report, right, to visualize that data. It's easier to look at things in bar graphs and pie graphs and what have you than a bunch of numbers. So, hey, what is your market share, right? There's a lot of tools out there, MBS, Highway, just a lot of different things that can give you the visualization of the data. makes you more informed, but it also holds you accountable to growing various parts of your market share. So for example, if the basic one is, hey, I did 60-40, right? In 2022. Not me, I'm not an originator, but I did 60-40, 60% purchase, 40% refi. Or it could be the inverse of that. That is a basic visual stat from the data that you have, right, of all your past closed loans, to then arm you with the creation of that next strategy, right, and that goal to say, okay, you know what, I want to increase my purchase to 70% from 60%, and or it might be 90%, whatever it is. How are you going to drive those with which flexible tactics? The data piece of this is the homework part, right? Like you if you start building everything around the data helps you to report, then you can plug in as many tactics as you want to get there. But without that, you have no measurement tool. So if you don't have a way to measure, whether it's a Power BI or you've built some Excel spreadsheets, then again, we'll find some tools, some free ones and paid ones, and drop them into that Facebook group so you guys can kind of comment and say, yeah, I got something better. I'd love to hear what you guys are using. But if you're not, put that on your priorities for 2024. Okay, second to last. Make decisions quickly, right? We love red tape. We love second guessing ourselves. We love and at the end of the day, you woke up fully charged. You started the year 2024 fully charged, and then things got in the way, right? Which is like, oh, you know what, I don't know. Is it maybe it's a financial constraint on dedicating a certain monthly cost to a certain platform or doing something. But there's a lot of organic free things that can happen too. Okay. But the flexibility piece of this is, if things change, you have to make that decision. And it has to be an educated decision. You can ask, I would love for you guys to ask those questions within that Facebook group as well, so you can have some backup if you need help decisioning. But if you don't, then those strategies get wasted. The time you spent, working on those tactics halfway through are left abandoned. You can at least come back to them when the pivot is different, but having something to pivot to and making sure that you're able to act on it quickly. So in ordinary times, you have that luxury, right, of taking additional time. And you just don't. In 2024, we've seen that for the last 2 or 3 years, is in uncertain markets, this approach leads to analysis paralysis. And I love saying that because I can't say it 3 times fast, but it's true. And so it's important to move fast and embrace the unknown from the very start. So knowing that in 2024, we cannot predict what's going to happen, what rates are going to be, all of those factors that we've already talked about on this conversation, is your marketing plan needs to fit that mold, right? So if your social media was a number 1 priority, and then, I don't know, there's a blackout and the internet goes out, I don't know, like I'm just making things up here, but you have to then reprioritize. It doesn't mean everything has to get knocked off of that list. So it's not like you're wasting your time. It's oftentimes reprioritizing. Okay, you know what, social media, this whole thing I was going to do, this campaign I was going to run was slated for month 2 of Q1, it's getting pushed back to Q2. And whatever was in Q2 may be more fitting to roll out now, because all of a sudden lumber is super cheap and homes are cheap, whatever, right? So anyway, so think about how to focus on making those marketing decisions, what you know now, and adjust as the new information comes in. So, this goes back into reporting as well, and who you're reading, what you're following, to help gauge what's next. All right, planning for the unknown. A lot of unknowns out there. Mortgage is one of those. It's been very, I think we've had more stability in the last 6 months, to be honest, as far as the marketing component of it, because we had a lot of organizations out there, whether they're multi-bajillion-dollar organizations to smaller locally owned mortgage brokers, have all pivoted to cost savings. And it's truly making sure, and if you've never heard this, and Dell, I think, is on as well, but Glenn Stearns, our CEO founder at Kind Lending, has taught us all a very valuable lesson is negotiate. The art of negotiation, right? It's such an important piece to every department, every organization, every tactic that you might be following through. But in marketing, especially, as you guys go out and look for, hey, you know what? I can do all of this stuff. Some of this stuff is set it and forget it. Some of these tactics are going to take six weeks, so I can pace it out. You may choose to do get something freelance, right? Or you may choose to pay someone. And I know a lot of our mortgage brokers today are paying someone for something. Use it as an opportunity to negotiate with them as well. It's like, hey guys, you're making us pay this is redonkulous, right? So let's reevaluate. Cost of leads and lead aggregators is an all-time high today, right? Because of inventory and rates. They're affected, we're affected, because then they turn around, they try to charge you double for the same lead that was pretty cheap, or cheaper, half the cost a year and a half ago, and a much higher conversion rate. So rethink those strategies, but don't assume that building a stoic, not a stoic, that's not like a rigid marketing plan, just being, I'm going to think all the way through 2024, and in November I'm going to do this. Don't think that way, because you're doomed if you do. The flexibility allows you to pivot what those tactics and those strategies were in throughout the year, and move them to the forefront based on what's happening in the environment around you. If your plans are too dependent on market conditions, perfect example, right? If you've been in mortgage long enough, or real estate, or both, we all know that in a regular year, we had our, slowdown January, February, March, spring picks up. You got this huge real estate, cycle through the summer, maybe into early fall if you're lucky, and then it starts tapering off in the November, December. You might have a small peak in December. That's how it's typically run over the last 30 years, right? If you look at the whole thing. Last 5 years, not the case, right? Actually, 8 years. Next year's an election year, so keep that in mind. Election years have a very different cycle. If you're a big digital marketing guru, you will understand when I say this, is that if some of your tactics are around text messaging, or text message services, I should say, or email, or both, or robo-dialers, or whatever you might be using, in those compartments, or those tactics specifically, they are affected, and it's proven during an election cycle. Because if can spam and all of those things really don't play much part for political advertising. So you're up against political advertising during those months, right? Especially summer to late fall. So your cost to do business in those some of those areas it rises, but also you're getting turned off or not answered to by a lot of folks during an election cycle during those months. So keep that in mind, right? If SMS service is part of your drip campaign, consider knowing that you ought to be doing something in addition to supplement the loss of response during those months. Because again, all of that stuff is happening, and you've got multiple calls, robo-dialing, all these things that's going to take place during those months. So that's not news to anyone. We all get it. And then lastly, your strategy should not be, I already said this, but it should not be dependent on your market conditions, and be prepared to message for several scenarios. Like I said earlier in this conversation, is have a couple of different tactics that are going to help drive that same goal. You can prioritize them, and you can cross them off if you get to that point where and this also helps is if it doesn't work, you have the A/B test happening live as well. So hopefully, you guys will take some of those 4 steps. I know we just went a few minutes early. I'm going to wrap up here. Um, the Facebook group is, we'll include the link in the email communication that we send out. But the Facebook group, Brokers Market Better Facebook group, it's truly going to be, and is already becoming a place for brokers to ask questions, get answers. I will be in there, Mackenzie. A lot of our team members will be in there as well, but we want brokers to ask each other questions as well. Hey, you've got questions about how to build a better website and who the vendor could be. We got ideas for vendors. Hey, I've got questions about how to boost my SEO in 2024. We've got those answers for you as well. And so you can take those answers and utilize them to keep building that marketing plan. All right. And lastly, yours truly, Krish Marketing. And if you haven't noticed, this is an AI photo. I've been trying to look like my AI photo all year. My wife did buy me the blue suit, but I can't stay committed to the mustache and the goatee, but we'll get there. Krish Marketing Podcast. It's live now on Spotify and YouTube. We just had some recent folks, Brittany Hodak, the author of Creating Superfans, talking all about experience. We had a podcast about podcasting. We had James Wong, who was a former VP of products at Facebook and United Nations. He was on. We've got a couple of more episodes coming up. I think we've got another one coming up this week. So please stay tuned. We'll include the link in the Facebook group and the email that goes out after this. Anyone, were there any questions in the chat? Let me look real quick. I think what's the name of the Facebook group? Good question, John. Well, this is my time. Dell or Quentin or Mackenzie, did you want to add anything else to the end of this conversation, or we can wrap up? Crickets.
Nothing to add, just saying that we will send a recap communication with the recording and the deck, so you can check that out. There will also be other important links in that recap. So a survey, if you want to fill that out, that'd be great. Help us out for future, and then other trainings for this series will be on the horizon and noted in that recap as well.
What is the title of the next webinar?
How-to marketing tips for mortgage brokers.
That
will be on December 27th, and we'll send out a registration through our socials. So just stay up to date with our social media or connect with your Kind Lending account executive.
Perfect. And feel free to join that the Facebook group, because we'll be asking questions that we'll be covering on that next webinar as well. All right. So happy Tuesday and Merry Christmas. We'll see you all soon. Oh, what was the outro? Stay curious, keep marketing.